Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
A moment later, Rob followed Bai back into the heroic spirit hall and watched as Bai walked into the hall alone. Bai walked out after more than an hour. He frowned slightly, and there was confusion and an imperceptible trace of shock in the depths of his eyes. "Teacher, how was it? What did the heroic spirit say?" Rob could not help but ask curiously, seeing that his teacher had taken so long to come out. No one is allowed to divulge about what happened today. If I find anyone leaking what happened today, I'll punish them as traitors. Bai's warm expression changed as he said with a cold and serious expression. Rob and the Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea were stunned. Traitor? This was the highest crime in the human race. That lord is actually so valuable? Bai did not explain further. He left calmly. On the other side, Zhou Zhou was thinking about the last conversation he had with Rob before he left as he walked towards the Blazing Sun army. Before he left, he asked him how to become a hero. The other party's answer was abnormally simple, but there was a deeper meaning to it. There were only 2 sentences. First, follow your heart and do what you want to do. Second, do something that the life forms will remember. These 2 sentences reminded Zhou Zhou of the hero biography at the end of each hero's stats information. Could it be that he wants me to do something comparable to a hero's biography? Zhou Zhou could not help but think. He frowned slightly, not sure if he was right. Unfortunately, the other party did not explain further after he asked further. That look. It was exactly the same as in the television dramas where the Taoist priest said that the heavenly secrets could not be revealed. Rob probably wants me to find the answer myself, because only the answer I found myself can make me believe it from the bottom of my heart. I might question the answer if he told me about it. Zhou Zhou sighed. This must be the weakness of human nature. He was no longer a child after all. He would not believe whatever others said. Suspicion was normal. Let's try it like he said. Let's not think about anything else. Zhou Zhou thought. It was not too much to try everything he could in order to become a hero. At this moment, Zhou Zhou saw Elder Zheng walking towards the city gate. At the same time, Elder Zheng also saw Zhou Zhou. "Greetings, my lord." He stopped and said respectfully, "Elder Zheng, where are you going?" Zhou Zhou said, "Just now, a patrolling soldier reported that more than 100 foreigners outside our territory want to join our Blazing Sun City. I wanted to go over and take a look. It would be even better if there are reliable talents among them." Elder Zheng smiled. Zhou Zhou's heart stirred. More than 100 foreigners? Was it another foreign enemy attracted by the talent of the peace and prosperity lord like yesterday? Let's go take a look together. Zhou Zhou smiled. He was also interested. This was the first time he had seen subjects attracted by peace and prosperity. Okay. Elder Zheng smiled and nodded. Then, the 2 of them walked towards the city gate. Outside Blazing Sun City, Sun Qian hugged a white puppy in his arms as he looked at the pitch-black city wall in front of him and the rather intimidating Aurora Tower on the city wall. His eyes were filled with surprise. The Aurora Tower is a strategic city defense building of the Aurora Kingdom. Only military cities in the Aurora Kingdom would be equipped with them. I didn't expect there to be an Aurora Tower in just over 10 days after Blazing Sun City was built. Moreover, its level doesn't look low. Also, this city wall is not simple. It should be the light elemental city wall recorded in books. Is this really built from nothing in just 10 days? Sun Qian was shocked. Then, he looked at the surrounding crowd. These people were the people he had encountered along the way. At first, he only encountered 1 or 2. Later on, they agreed to travel together after knowing that their destination was Blazing Sun City. In the end, they encountered more and more companions, and their group of refugees heading to Blazing Sun City became stronger and stronger. There were already a total of 124 people when they arrived. They brought their families, old and young, their luggage, and their eyes were filled with hope for their future lives. Even though they were tired, thirsty, and hungry, they were also excited. It's said that even though Blazing Sun City has only been established for a short period of time, It's a good place for the subjects to live and work in peace. Even the big shots of the Aurora Kingdom came here to retire. Even though I don't know what's going on in the city yet. But the city wall and the Aurora Tower do give off a very reliable feeling. I hope it won't disappoint everyone inside. Sun Qian sighed in his heart. These people in front of him were just ordinary people. Coming all the way here was already their last resort. If Blazing Sun City was a waste on the outside, he could not imagine what the future of these people would be like. At this moment, the crowd suddenly became restless. Sun Qian looked up. An old man brought a young man here. Prime Minister Zhang. Sun Qian's body trembled. Even though he was not a member of the royal court, he had heard of this former prime minister's good reputation among the people when he lived in the Aurora Kingdom and had seen his portrait. Therefore, he recognized him at a glance. Then, his gaze could not help but be attracted by the young man beside him. He did not know why. Logically speaking, the temperament of a big shot like Prime Minister Zhang should be more attractive. However, the young man beside him had a more obvious leadership aura than Prime Minister Zhang, making the surrounding people unable to help but pay attention to him. Once he appeared, he was the protagonist of everyone present. However, after this young man appeared, he did not say anything. Instead, he stood quietly at the side and watched Prime Minister Zhang register these refugees and make them new subjects of Blazing Sun City. But soon, he had a new move. The young man called over a soldier and whispered something in his ear. Then, he saw the soldier nod and turn around to run back into the city. A moment later, they saw the soldier lead smiling subjects out of the city. However, this was not what attracted them the most. What attracted them the most was the water, rice, buns, porridge, flatbread, and some dishes that looked appetizing in the hands of these subjects. These dishes were sent to Sun Qian and the others. Everyone, you must be very hungry after a long journey. His lordship asked us to send these over. Everyone, fill your stomachs first. There's more if it's not enough. I guarantee that you'll be full. The soldier smiled. Everyone looked at the young man gratefully. Thank you, my lord. Thank you, my lord. The crowd said gratefully. Sun Qian also smiled. So he was the lord who forged this peace and prosperity city. No wonder he was so benevolent. Everyone was indeed at the right place. Name, class, level. The clerk in charge of registration asked. Sun Qian, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Beast Tamer. Sun Qian replied. Everyone could not help but look at him. Zhou Zhou was no exception. White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Beast Tamer. He should be a talent attracted by the reputation rating, right? Zhou Zhou thought. Soon, as the clerk registration was completed, Zhou Zhou could already see the information on his subject attribute panel when he looked at him again. Subject, Sun Qian. Territory, Blazing Sun City. Combat class name, Beast Tamer. Class, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. Ability overview, Sun Qian, who has liked small animals since he was young, has long displayed his Beast Tamer talent to be able to communicate with animals. When he displayed this talent, he was quickly taken in as his last disciple by an Epic Tier Elementary Grade Beast Tamer. Now, he has already learned everything and is looking for places on the high continent where he can showcase what he has learned. Skills, talent, beast language, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Beast Taming Theory, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Beast Taming Practice, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Beast Control Contract Scroll, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Beast Taming Study, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Beast Food Manufacturing, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Summoning Black Feathered White Feather Eagle, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Summoning Golden Bone Jade-Eyed Tiger, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Summoning Great Strength Ant Swarm, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Summoning White Spirit Hound. Loyalty, 91. Potential, Epic Tier Elementary Grade. Zhou Zhou exclaimed. Epic Tier Elementary Grade Potential? This was the subject with the highest innate potential he had ever seen. Among the human subjects under his command, even Zhang Yuanqi, Wu Xian, Zhao Changshou, and the others were not as talented as him. Only Bai Yun had reached the epic tier advanced grade in terms of potential and suppressed him. This was even with the epic tier hero fate level slot of the Bloodfire Arrow Elf. If Zhang Yuanqi and the others' extraordinary tier potential were rare geniuses of the human race in 1,000 years, Sun Qian could be said to be a rare genius of the human race. My God, such a talent actually came to him. The talents from the reputation rating had indeed never disappointed him. A moment later, the remaining 123 people had all completed their levels. Zhou Zhou looked at the results. Among these 123 people, there were 26 Black Iron Tier professionals, 8 Green Bronze Tier professionals, and only 1 White Silver Tier professional. It was a White Silver Tier intermediate grade tailor. After Zhang Yuanqi began to arrange their accommodation and work, Zhou Zhou came to Sun Qian. "Greetings, my lord," Sun Qian said respectfully. After what had just happened, now, Sun Qian's impression of Zhou Zhou could be said to have increased greatly. He was very certain that the other party was a wise master. This was also the reason why his loyalty had reached 91 after he joined Blazing Sun City. "Are you interested in joining my Blazing Sun Army and crusading against the people of foreign race and the Scarlet Lord with me?" Zhou Zhou smiled.
Yes.
Sun Qian's eyes lit up. The purpose of his training was to test what he had learned and become a truly powerful beast tamer in constant battles. What this lord said was exactly what he wanted. "Come with me," Zhou Zhou acknowledged. Then, he turned around and walked into the city. Sun Qian followed closely behind. A moment later, the two of them arrived at the Blazing Sun Army's base. After introducing Sun Qian to Bai Yun and the others, Zhou Zhou asked Bai Yun to gather the soldiers and prepare to start the new Lord battlefield ranking. Originally, he wanted to lead troops to conquer new regional territories. However, the Dragon Slayer's ability aroused his great interest. He wanted to see how the Dragon Slayer performed on the Lord battlefield. He stopped thinking about it. Zhou Zhou opened the Lord battlefield function and clicked on the ranking. A text notification appeared. "Matching with your queuing opponent. Match successful. Entering the battlefield." The next second, Zhou Zhou's body suddenly became illusory and slowly disappeared. Sun Qian looked at this scene in surprise. "Don't worry. Our Lord has entered the Lord battlefield. We have to be prepared too. We're going in later too." Bai Yun smiled. Sun Qian nodded nervously. "You have entered the extraordinary tier advanced grade battlefield. You and your opponent have been randomly assigned to the extraordinary tier advanced grade battlefield, Falling Sun Desert. Your opponent is Behemoth Lord, Mengchen Lord, extraordinary tier advanced grade. Condition to defeat the enemy. Kill all the enemy forces within 24 hours. If you exceed the time limit, both sides will be judged to have negative battle results. Ranking -1. You have 10 minutes to deploy your forces. Countdown. 9 minutes, 59 seconds. In the Lord battlefield. Zhou Zhou looked at the battlefield in front of him and could not help but exclaim in surprise. This was because he realized that the battlefield environment this time was actually a desert environment. The environment is good for us this time, but it's not a big advantage. Zhou Zhou shook his head. Even though his Blazing Sun Army was familiar with the desert environment, they were only familiar with it but did not have much of an advantage. He looked into the distance. A primitive building complex that looked like a tribe stood in the desert in the distance. A creature about 3 to 4 meters tall with silver fur all over its body and 2 sharp fangs at the corners of its mouth was standing there and looking coldly in his direction. Zhou Zhou's heart skipped a beat. The Index of All Races, Book 5, automatically flew out. It opened automatically and stopped on the last page. The other party's racial information quickly appeared on it. White Silver Behemoth Race. One of the peak races in the Myriad Worlds, a land-based overlord creature. An ancient race that can compare to the dragon race. The legendary yellow gold tier behemoth specializes in feeding on the dragon race. The behemoth race has a huge body and an astonishing appetite. Their physical defense is extremely high, and even the sharp claws of the dragon race can't easily break through it. Their speed is astonishing. Coupled with their size, They are like war machines when they collide. They are born armed from head to toe. Don't clash with them. Zhou Zhou frowned deeply. An ancient race comparable to the dragon race. This white-silver behemoth was actually so strong. I just wanted to find a high-level race to test the abilities of the Dragon Slayer. Why did I encounter such an opponent the moment I came up? Zhou Zhou took a deep breath. There was no choice. Let's try it. If they really could not win, they would retreat. Then, he began to set up. Soon, Bai Yun, Wu Xin, Soul Reaper Maris, Nazario, Beast Tamer Sun Qian, and all the members of the Blazing Sun Army appeared in Blazing Sun City. As soon as it appeared, Nazario suddenly looked in the direction of White-Silver Behemoth City and immediately saw the Silver Behemoth Lord and its White-Silver Behemoth subject. It suddenly spread its wings and flew into the sky, then roared at the other party. At this moment, the Mengqian Lord had already deployed 15 White-Silver Behemoth subjects. After hearing Nazario's roar, its pupils immediately widened as it looked at it. Then, it roared right on the heels of it. Zhou Zhou and the others could not help but click their tongues when they saw this. It had been a long time since he had seen Nazario so excited. It seemed that the Behemoth race and the Dragon race had a relationship that he did not know about. 10 minutes later. Deployment time has ended. The battle has begun. The next second, Lord Mengqian ran out of the tribe with the 15 white-silver behemoths and ran towards Blazing Sun City. As they ran, their bodies were also rapidly growing. 5 meters, 10 meters, 20 meters, 30 meters. In the blink of an eye, the Lord in the lead grew to more than 50 meters tall. The smallest white-silver behemoth behind it was more than 10 meters tall, and the largest was more than 30 meters tall. Prepare for battle, Zhou Zhou said in a low voice. Zhou Zhou looked at the information on the interface of the menacing white-silver behemoths. They realized that the strongest among them was Lord Mengqian, but he was only at the white-silver tier intermediate grade. As for the other white-silver behemoths, most of them were green-bronze tier and a small number were white-silver tier. Zhou Zhou was not surprised. The advancement of creatures with higher-level bloodlines required more promotion energy. Nazario had killed so many enemies, and with the blessing of the war god, he was only at the yellow-gold tier elementary grade. Therefore, at this time, it was indeed very reasonable for Lord Mengqian's strength to reach the white-silver tier intermediate grade. It was abnormal for someone as strong as Nazario. On the other side, begin long-range attack. Bai Yun immediately shouted when she saw the 16 white-silver behemoths charging over like city-breaking behemoths. As soon as he finished speaking, whoosh, 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 bang, 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 bang. The sound of arrows and bullets tearing through the air could be heard. They turned into a rain of arrows and bullets that filled the sky as they shot towards the 16 white behemoths. However, what shocked everyone was that the arrows and bullets they released landed on this group of white-silver behemoths, but they did not even cause any wounds. The attacks of white-silver tier long-range soldiers could only leave faint white marks on their bodies. The attacks of long-range soldiers below the white-silver tier could not even leave a white mark on their bodies. Roar! Nazario roared at them. Then, he spread his dragon wings and flew out of Blazing Sun City, charging at the white-silver behemoths. When Lord Mengqian saw the lava dragon flying over, it immediately roared fearlessly. It suddenly jumped more than 100 meters high and charged at Nazario. Then, it grabbed its dragon wings and started fighting Nazario in the air. However, if it was a yellow gold tier behemoth, then it had to be at the same strength to be able to compete with Nazario. This Lord of Mengqian was not a yellow gold tier behemoth, and its strength was far inferior to Nazario's. In addition, it was still in the air and not fighting on the ground, which was its forte. Therefore, it quickly fell into a disadvantage while in combat and was injured by Nazario. Seeing this scene, the other two white-silver tier elementary grade white-silver behemoths also jumped over and forcefully pulled Nazario to the ground in the air before surrounding him. The three white-silver behemoths looked at each other and pounced on Nazario together. Zhou Zhou frowned when he saw this, but his eyes quickly lit up. This was because not only was Nazario not at a disadvantage against the siege of the three white-silver behemoths, but he even suppressed the three of them. After a while, the three white-silver behemoths had injuries of all sizes: claw wounds, bite wounds, fire injuries. The three white-silver behemoths became more and more afraid as they fought. On the other hand, Nazario's fighting spirit surged. After forcing the three white-silver behemoths back with a blazing explosion, Nazario suddenly roared at the sky, displaying the heroic bearing of a dragon. At this moment, even though it also had some injuries caused by the white-silver behemoths, Nazario did not care at all. This injury was nothing to it. It felt comfortable all over. When Zhou Zhou saw this, he could not help but smile. In the days that Nazario had followed him, the battles it had experienced were mostly battles that could be easily resolved. Especially those ordinary Scarlet Lords, they were too weak. In most cases, Nazario could end the battle in 1 or 2 rounds against the Scarlet Lords. Sometimes, the Scarlet Lord would die with a single magma dragon breath. Therefore, he often felt that Nazario was not having fun fighting. In this battle with the white-silver behemoths, it seemed that it was satisfied. At this moment, he suddenly noticed that 3 more white-silver behemoths had turned around and rushed back, wanting to attack Nazario together. "Support Nazario," Zhou Zhou ordered in a low voice. He could tell Nazario should be almost at its limit fighting 3 of them alone. If it was a 1 against 6, even if it could win, that would definitely be a tragic victory. Zhou Zhou was its master after all, so he naturally would not let it fight alone. Soul Reaper Maris immediately sat down cross-legged when he heard that. Right on the heels of that, he saw his soul leave his body with the God of Death's scythe in his hand and fly towards the white-silver behemoths. Ordinary life forms could not see the Soul Reaper, but they could see it clearly in front of these peak-level bloodline races. They roared at Maris. Wild roar. Maris' flying soul froze slightly. But in the next second, he returned to normal and rushed into Lord Mengchen's brain. Lord Mengchen snorted coldly. Right on the heels of that, a bone necklace on its neck emitted a hazy pale light. Right on the heels of that, Maris seemed to have been ejected and flew out of its brain. This Lord Mengchen actually had a soul defense treasure. Maris was not discouraged. He turned around and flew towards another white silver tier elementary grade white silver tier behemoth. Then, he flew into its mind without any obstruction. Soon, the white silver behemoth's eyes dimmed before it fell to the ground with a bang. Lord Mengchen was furious when he saw this. On Nazario's side, the pressure was immediately reduced. When it saw that Lord Mengchen was furious, it roared and rushed up again. At the same time, just as the 6 white-silver behemoths were fighting Nazario and Maris, the remaining 10 white-silver behemoths were about to reach the city wall. Seeing this, Bai Yun and Wu Xian jumped down from the city wall. As soon as they saw the jumping height of the silver behemoth, they understood. His light elemental city wall should not be able to stop the other party. After all, his light elemental city wall had changed from 25 meters to 40 meters tall after 2 days of thickening and building up. However, this group of white-silver behemoths could jump 100 meters high with a single jump. The height of the city walls was completely useless against them. The other party could directly jump into the city. Since that was the case, it was better to fight outside the city. It also saved the interior of the blazing Sun City from being destroyed. Zhou Zhou also understood his thoughts. Therefore, he ordered without hesitation, "Open the city gate. All melee soldiers, leave the city and fight. Kill these white-silver behemoths. Long-range soldiers, assist in the killing on the city wall."
Yes.
50,000 soldiers roared. Then, more than 30,000 melee soldier-type professionals rushed out of the already open city gate and rushed towards the white-silver behemoths. The remaining 10,000-odd long-range soldier-type professionals stood on the city wall and used bows, crossbows, elemental archery, and guns to attack the 10 white-silver behemoths. I should help too. When Sun Qian saw this, he put down the white spirit hound in his arms. Then, he saw the white spirit hound's body quickly grow larger. In the blink of an eye, It became 7 to 8 meters tall and 15 to 16 meters long. Then, he summoned his other 3 main battle pets. White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Black-Feathered White Feather Eagle. White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Golden Bone Jade-Eyed Tiger. White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Herculean Ants. The black-feathered white feather eagle was a divine eagle with a white feather and black tail that was more than 20 meters long. The golden bone jade-eyed tiger was like its name. Its entire body emitted a faint golden light, and its tiger eyes were as green and clear as beautiful jade. It looked especially strange. The Herculean ants were a little special. Red ants the size of puppies ran out of the other party's pet bag. It was the Herculean ants. After a while, 300 to 400 Herculean ants crawled out and quickly crawled in the direction of the white-silver behemoths. Moreover, Sun Qian did not seem to have put away the pet bag. Clearly, he had more Herculean ants to release. Zhou Zhou looked at these Herculean ants and realized that other than the lowest level green bronze tier, white silver tier, and even yellow gold tier advanced grade Herculean ant generals, are these all the pets you subdued? Zhou Zhou asked in surprise. How can I be so powerful alone? I only subdued a Herculean ant queen and asked it to nurture so many soldier ants and general ants. Sun Qian said. Zhou Zhou clicked his tongue in wonder. You can do that? The beast tamer's professional potential was high enough. If done well like what Sun Qian did, it was completely possible for a beast tamer to nurture an army. Then, he saw Sun Qian order his pets to attack the 10 white-silver behemoths. In the sky, the black-feathered white-feather eagle controlled the power of the wind element to create wind cannons that bombarded in white-silver tier elementary grade white-silver behemoths. The golden bone jade-eyed tiger fought a white-silver behemoths in close combat. The Herculean ant queen commanded her more than 1,500 soldier ants and general ants to besiege a green bronze tier advanced grade white-silver behemoths. As for the white spirit hound at the back of the battlefield, it used the water element to heal their injuries and increase their combat strength as an auxiliary pet. On the city wall, Sun Qian's expression was solemn. He had thought that it would be easy for him to deal with these white-silver behemoths who were not even yellow-gold tier with his 4 white-platinum tier elementary-grade pets. However, after the battle, he realized that these white-silver behemoths could actually fight on par with his white-platinum tier elementary-grade pets. Sun Qian did not feel proud even though he was on the suppressing end. Instead, he was secretly shocked. Was this the legendary white-silver behemoths? It was actually so powerful. 2 whole levels lower than his white platinum tier elementary grade pets, and they could actually fight on par. No wonder it was at the peak of the bloodline race. He couldn't help but look in Nazario's direction. At this moment, Nazario had already killed 4 of the 6 white-silver behemoths surrounding them after joining forces with Maris. The remaining 2 white-silver behemoths were also severely injured. My God! What was going on with his lord's dragon pet? The white-silver behemoths were already so confused. You can actually fight 2 against 6? Sun Qian clicked his tongue. He retracted his gaze and looked in the direction of Bai Yun and Wu Exine. He thought that he would see some more tragic battle scenes. However, when he saw the real situation, he was stunned. Zhou Zhou also stood up and looked at the soldiers of the Blazing Sun Army in surprise. Army formation, Furry Array. Army formation, Fire Array. Wu Xian led the soldiers to charge at an white-silver tier elementary grade white-silver behemoths while activating his 2 types of military formations, greatly increasing the movement speed, strength, and explosive power of the soldiers. Just as they approached the white-silver behemoths, Wu Xian directly activated the dragon blood transformation. The light under his crotch also began to transform into a dragon. A transparent golden dragon head gradually condensed on the man and the dragon horse. The golden air wave behind the dragon head covered all the soldiers behind Wu Xian, allowing them to possess a portion of the characteristics of the golden dragon bloodline for a short period of time. Their combat strength increased again. Hero skill, Golden Dragon Break. Just as they were about to approach these white-silver behemoths, the white-silver behemoths roared. The overwhelming pressure of the white-silver behemoth's bloodline instantly erupted from his body and pressed down on Wu Xian and the others. At this moment, they felt the bloodline pressure from a peak-level bloodline race. A will that wanted to fight and kill crazily suddenly appeared in Wu Xian, Bai Yun, and the soldiers' minds. After this will appeared, the bloodline pressure of the white-silver behemoths seemed to have become a breeze that could no longer suppress them. At the same time, wisps of blood energy appeared on the surface of their bodies. Their pupils turned bloodshot. Hot killing intent and powerful strength flowed and boiled in their souls and bodies. At the same time, they felt that their strength had begun to increase rapidly under the influence of the other party's bloodline. Bai Yun was originally at yellow gold tier elementary grade. However, under the enhancement of the Dragon Slayer's will, his strength directly jumped to the white platinum tier elementary grade. Wu Xian was originally a yellow gold tier advanced grade. However, his current strength had already increased to white platinum tier advanced grade. Due to their higher aptitude and potential, it was equivalent to having a higher bloodline level. Therefore, the increase was not even the highest. Among the Blazing Sun army soldiers under their command, some of the soldiers only had green bronze tier and white silver tier potential. Facing the potential of the white silver behemoths, at least at the epic tier realm, the difference could be said to be worlds apart. This was originally a disadvantage. However, under the dragon-slaying will, this difference turned into an advantage. The weakest among them was Black Iron tier elementary grade. With the help of the dragon-slaying will, his strength directly jumped to white silver tier elementary grade. It had increased by 2 whole levels. He could not go any higher. This was because their physical bodies could no longer withstand stronger strength. The ones with the smallest increase in strength will directly increase by a major level. The greatest increase in strength directly increased by 2 major levels. Zhou Zhou clicked his tongue. The ability to slay the dragon-slaying will was even more exaggerated than he had imagined. On the battlefield, Bai Yun, Wu Xian, and the soldiers of the Blazing Sun army looked at the white-silver behemoths that were as tall as god spirits. There was gradually only one main thought left in their minds. That was to kill them, bath in their blood. This was the only way to calm the burning slaughter will in their hearts. However, even though Bai Yun, Wu Xian, and the others had a crazy and intense killing will in their minds, they were not completely crazy. There was still a portion of rationality in the depths of their consciousness. They also felt the change in their bodies and were happy to use this change to defeat their lord's enemies. Hero skill, Golden Dragon Break. Wu Xian led the soldiers to use the Golden Dragon Break and instantly passed through the desert battlefield. The 3 silver behemoths standing in the middle of the desert battlefield looked at the hole in their chests in a daze. Then, they fell one by one and could not stand up again. Wu Xian watched this scene calmly. The power of the hero skill, Golden Dragon Break, depended on him and the soldiers he led when he used it. The soldiers he had led just now were all elites among the elites of the Blazing Sun army. All of them had reached the white silver tier. With the enhancement of the dragon-slaying will, all of them had white platinum tier combat strength. With the enhancement of hundreds of white platinum tier combatants, it was naturally easy to deal with a white-silver behemoth. Even if it was a top-notch bloodline race, comparable to the dragon race, he felt the shocking power still boiling in his body. Wu Xian looked at the other white-silver behemoths, and a bloodthirsty red light flashed in his eyes. 15 minutes later, calmness returned to the battlefield. All the white-silver behemoths died. Without the influence of the high-level bloodline, Wu Xian and the others, who had just temporarily increased their strength, quickly recovered their previous strength. The soldiers felt like they were in a dream. Zhou Zhou looked at the text notification in front of him. You have defeated the white-silver behemoth's lord, Lord Mingchen, extraordinary tier advanced grade lord. You have won this ranking competition. Congratulations, you have obtained 30,000 battlefield points. Congratulations, you have advanced to epic tier elementary grade in the Lord Battlefield of all races. You need to maintain this title until the Lord Battlefield event ends. Only then can you obtain this title permanently. You need to participate in at least one ranking competition every day. Otherwise, your rank will decrease by -1. Your battlefield shop has been updated. You can return to your territory now. Epic Tier Elementary Grade. Zhou Zhou looked at this level and his eyes gradually lit up. Maybe he could try to fight for the strongest lord of all races. What if it worked? The fight for the throne of the strongest lord of all races. In the past, Zhou Zhou did not dare to think about this at all. He knew how far he was from the top 10 lords of all races after all. For example, the true lord of the original true spirit race, the great one lord of the chaos gods race, the heaven-chasing lord of the shepherd's god race. These lords of all races firmly occupied the top 10 of the lord battlefield ranking with their incomparably powerful racial talent and bloodline. The difference between lords of normal race and their racial talent and bloodline was too great. There was no possibility of them fighting for the title of the strongest lord of all races. Zhou Zhou was like this in the past. He knew very well that the human race he was from was not outstanding among the myriad races. At the very best, they could only be considered below average. It was a fool's dream to compete for the position of the strongest lord of all races with lords like the original true spirit race who had the bloodline of a top race. But it was different now. The lord talent of dragon slaying hometown gave him hope of chasing after these true top lords of all races. Even the white-silver behemoths had been easily knocked down by them. This meant that they really had a chance to fight a top lord of all races with their lord talent, dragon slaying hometown. Thinking of this, Zhou Zhou could not help but feel excited. At the same time, on the World Channel, just as Zhou Zhou raised his lord rank to epic tier elementary grade, some lords who specialized in keeping an eye on the rankings of their own kind were immediately excited. Then, they immediately sent this news to the World Channel. And then, the lords on the World Channel immediately exploded. How did Big Boss Blazing Sun do it? He can actually advance to the epic tier? Didn't someone say that with our human race's race bloodline and racial talent, no matter how talented we are, we won't be able to advance to the epic tier? It's even very difficult for us to advance to the extraordinary tier. Actually, there's nothing wrong with what was said. There are examples of the Dragon God Lord and the Insect Lord after all. The two of them are still stuck at the Diamond tier advanced grade. I can only say that Big Boss Blazing Sun is a pervert. I think I've seen this scene before during the Novice Lord test. On this day, the Lords of Cerulean Planet once again thought of the fear of being ruled by the Lord of the Blazing Sun. Lord of the Blazing Sun, my forever God. No one saw it anyway. I'm a SB. I announced the official establishment of the Blazing Sun male group. I will be the leader. Men member +1. Men member +2. Men member plus 10,086. In the past, I thought you were joking when you mentioned this previously. Now, I'm really afraid that you'll snatch my blazing sun. It's so heaven-defying. Elemental World. Dragonblood Mountain Range. The Dragon Godlord's territory. The Dragon Godlord, Lu Chang, frowned as he looked at Zhou Zhou's ranking. He can actually advance to the epic tier elementary grade. Is the difference between us really so big? He muttered to himself. As the owner of the legendary tier Lord Talent, Giant Dragon Mystic Realm, he could randomly summon a pure-blooded dragon from the Giant Dragon Mystic Realm every 5 days to become his subject. On the first day, he summoned a pure-blooded dragon, Bronze Dragon. On the 6th day, he summoned a pure-blooded dragon, Golden Dragon. On the 11th day, he even summoned an abyssal demon dragon. Just like Nazario. When the 3 pure-blooded dragons were first summoned, they were only in the form of young dragons. However, even young dragons had the initial strength of a white silver tier elementary grade. Moreover, their combat strength could easily defeat yellow gold tier monsters and could even fight the white platinum tier Scarlet Lord. Towards this, Lu Chang was naturally overjoyed. He felt that he would definitely be the #1 Lord of the Cerulean Planet. And yet, the appearance of the Insect Lord and the Overlord Lord, who also had legendary tier Lord talents, made him feel like he had a competitor. Then, the appearance of the Lord of the Blazing Sun made him feel suffocated pressure and defeat, especially during the novice lord test. He had clearly done his best, but he was actually still far inferior to the Lord of the Blazing Sun. Even though everyone said that the Lord of the Blazing Sun might have a mythical tier Lord talent, he, who knew some secrets, knew that the Lord of all races on the High Continent did not have innate mythical tier Lord talent. Legendary tier Lord talent was the ceiling. He could use some methods to upgrade his legendary tier Lord talent to the mythical tier Lord talent. For example, the rewards for the novice Lord test, which meant perhaps the current Lord of the Blazing Sun had a mythical tier Lord talent. However, during the novice Lord test, there was a high chance that he still had a legendary tier Lord talent. They both had legendary tier Lord talents. However, he was so far away from the Lord of the Blazing Sun during the novice Lord test. He could not accept it. At that time, he was comforting himself that a temporary lead would not be a permanent lead. He did not expect that in the current Lord battlefield activity, the Lord of the Blazing Sun was actually leading so far ahead, Diamond Tier and Epic Tier ranking. As a top-notch Lord of the Cerulean planet, he knew the difference between these two levels very well. He only calmed down after a long time. My giant dragon Mystic Realm will be able to advance in 2 days. At that time, I can summon a pure-blooded dragon every 4 days. I might not be able to catch up to the Lord of the Blazing Sun in a short period of time, but in the later stages, if my giant dragon Mystic Realm can summon legendary tier dragon, or even mythical tier dragon, I can definitely catch up. Lu Chong thought silently. In a special universe, on the desolate planet, a blonde Western woman with the lower body of a bloated purple worm also saw the news that the Lord of the Blazing Sun had advanced to the Epic Tier Elementary grade. I didn't expect this Lord of the Blazing Sun to be so strong until now. Tamara was a little surprised. However, she did not pay much attention to it. She looked at the scene in front of her. A total of 140,000 sickle bugs, demon beetles, face-embracing bugs, spiritual energy bugs, and all kinds of insects were spread throughout her territory. Tamara looked at the Zergs with burning ambition in her eyes. Her legendary tier Lord talent was Insect Mother. This Lord talent not only transformed her into a half-human, half-insect mother, but it also gave her the ability to produce all kinds of child worms. Moreover, she also had the talent, Zerg race genetic modification. It could transfer the outstanding genes gathered to her and the Zerg offsprings she created, creating a powerful insect mother body and various Zerg offsprings. This was another Lord talent comparable to a cheat without a doubt. Now, I can produce more than 10,000 Zergs a day with the mist cores collected by these Zergs. Moreover, the number of Zergs produced will increase every day. One day, when the number of Zergs under my command reaches tens of millions, that will be when I conquer all the territories on this planet. And then, I will lead my Zergs to attack the entire universe. Tamara's eyes lit up. Tamara knew the name of the universe she belonged to after some investigation. The Insect Tribe Universe. Even the world channel she was in was called the Insect Lord World Channel. The lords in this exclusive channel were all Zerg lords of various branches of the Zerg race. Among all the Zerg lords in this channel, her lord talent was undoubtedly the strongest. Therefore, she had long treated the Zerg universe that the Supreme Will had specially arranged for them as hers after she knew this information. The Lord of the Blazing Sun was developing very quickly, but she didn't care too much given that her lord talent gave her the ability to wait in this unique development environment. Extraordinary Tier Lord Battlefield, Fallen Sun Desert. After Zhou Zhou felt that he could try to fight for the title of the strongest lord of all races, he was naturally extremely excited. Zhou Zhou took out the resurrection token and revived more than 100 soldiers who had died in the battle when he finally calmed down. These top-notch bloodline races were indeed terrifying even though the white-silver behemoth was easily defeated by them. The soldiers under his command had already temporarily reached white platinum tier under the enhancement of the dragon-slaying will. Nonetheless, they actually still allowed this group of white silver tier behemoths to kill more than 100 people. as expected of a top-notch bloodline creature that could stand shoulder to shoulder with the dragon race. A moment later, Zhou Zhou looked at the battlefield after reviving all the soldiers. The corpses of the dead white-silver behemoths turned into white light and dissipated not long after they died. They were not given a chance to bathe in the blood in their corpses to increase their strength. Zhou Zhou shook his head, feeling that it was a pity. But there was no choice. The higher the rank of the lord, the easier it was to buy a large number of territory rebirth tokens and resurrection tokens from their race. This also meant that it was almost impossible to really kill the foreign race lord in a place like the Lord Battlefield. The Lord Battlefield could only be used as a place to test one's strength, but it was not a place to increase his strength. I have to start from reality if I want to rely on the Lord's innate ability, the Dragon Slayer's song and bloodbath, to increase my strength. Zhou Zhou pondered. Then, he opened the rankings of the lords of all races battlefield and realized that the top 3 lords had not changed. The 3 top lords of the original spirit race, the Chaos God race, and the Shepherd's God race firmly occupied the top 3. He scrolled further down. He realized that there were already 22 lords who had reached the mythical tier advanced grade. Zhou Zhou clicked his tongue. Is there really that much infighting? However, how are these mythical tier advanced grade lords going to compete for the last spot as the strongest lord of all races? Thoughts like these flashed across Zhou Zhou's mind. However, he did not think too much about it. They had nothing to do with him for the time being after all. Then, he filtered the ranking of the myriad races Lord Battlefield to the lords of Cerulean Planet. The search results immediately refreshed. Zhou Zhou looked over. Cerulean Planet Human Race, Lord of the Blazing Sun, Epic Tier Elementary Grade, Battlefield Ranking, 91,541st. Cerulean Planet's Human Race, Dragon Godlord Rank, Diamond Tier Advanced Grade, Battlefield Ranking, 1,048,744th. Cerulean Planet Human Race, Insect Lord Rank, Diamond Tier Advanced Grade, Battlefield Ranking, 1,051,005th. Zhou Zhou nodded slightly. After upgrading to the Epic Tier Elementary Grade, his Lord ranking had directly risen from the previous 500,000 to the top 100,000. The Dragon God Lord and the Insect Lord surprised him. Why were these two still at the Diamond Tier Advanced Grade? Was the Diamond Tier rank so difficult to advance? It was indeed quite difficult. Zhou Zhou recalled his first defeat against a demi-lord in the Diamond Tier and the situation where he could not be ranked no matter what after reaching the Extraordinary Tier Advanced Grade. He could not help but smack his lips. The Extraordinary Tier was indeed a hurdle. If the Dragon God Lord and the Insect Lord did not make a huge breakthrough in their strength, they would probably be stuck at this level for a while. Then, he looked at his rank title and fashion effect. The title was still the title of the strongest lord. The effect of the title had not changed. However, the effect of the fashion had changed. Fashion name: Battlefield Elite, Event Limited Fashion. Fashion grade: Epic Tier, Enhanceable. Fashion feature 1. Reduces 20% of the damage from Epic Tier and below to the wearer. Fashion feature 2. Leave the battlefield. In the Epic Tier Lord Battlefield ranking, if you have an Epic Tier Territory Rebirth token when your side is at a disadvantage, the Lord has the right to choose to admit defeat and automatically withdraw from the Lord Battlefield ranking. Fashion feature 3. Same as before. Fashion feature 4. Same as before. Current fashion outfit completeness: 5 out of 5. Introduction: same as before. Zhou Zhou retracted his gaze and opened the battlefield shop. At 1. Cerulean Planet Human Race Building, Architectural Blueprint Fragment, 7/7. Remaining purchases: 1. Price: 30,000 battlefield points. 2. Illustrated Handbook of All Races, Book 7. Remaining purchases: 1. Price: 5,000 battlefield points. 3. 1 Extraordinary Tier Master Servant Territory Contract. Remaining purchases: 1. Price: 10,000 battlefield points. 4. 1 Gradeless Territory Fusion Certificate. Remaining purchases: 3. Price: 10,000 battlefield points. Zhou Zhou looked at the fourth product and could not help but raise his eyebrows. Territory Fusion Certificate? What's this? He opened its attribute information. Treasure name, territory fusion certificate. Treasure grade, gradeless. Treasure effect, it can fuse any regional territory connected to it. The fused regional territory can retain all the resources of the original territory and have a certain chance of increasing the grade of its territory. Treasure description, a necessary item to increase the grade of the region's territory. It's actually a treasure that can increase the grade of the regional territory? Zhou Zhou's eyes lit up. The first thing he thought of was the Blazing Sun Desert under his feet. The territory where Blazing Sun City was had always been a Black Iron Tier regional territory. If it could increase the grade of the territory in the Blazing Sun Desert, not only could it allow Blazing Sun City to develop better, it was also beneficial to satisfying the conditions to build a kingdom in the future. He naturally did not forget the 3 conditions for establishing a kingdom that Li Ye had told him. The first was to possess an extraordinary tier advanced grade treasure, kingdom token. He had no clue about this for the time being, so he did not have to think too much about it. The third condition was that he had 3 heroes with at least extraordinary tier hero fates, and one of them had to be a hero of his own race. The second condition was that the Lord had at least 30 regional territories, and at least one of them had to be an extraordinary tier capital of the kingdom. If Zhou Zhou built a kingdom in the future, the Blazing Sun City would definitely be the capital. If he wanted to upgrade the Blazing Sun Desert to an extraordinary tier regional territory, then this territory fusion certificate was a necessary item. So a gradeless territory fusion certificate cost 10,000 battlefield points? Zhou Zhou looked at the battlefield points he had. He only had 30,004 battlefield points left since the last exchange. Zhou Zhou thought for a moment and decided to exchange for the last fragment of the Triumphal Arch first. He was not in a hurry to fuse the 7 fragments. Instead, he continued to rank. He planned to earn another 30,000 battlefield points and buy all the gradeless territory fusion certificates. Zhou Zhou's second ranking battle was against the Lord of the Holy Unicorn race from the Heaven Realm. According to the Index of All Races, Book 7, the Holy Unicorn race was one of the symbols of the heavenly realm and one of the favorite creatures of the gods of order in the Heaven Realm. They were a race with extraordinary tier bloodlines. As long as the Holy Unicorn reached adulthood, it would naturally advance to Diamond tier. It would easily advance to the extraordinary tier with a little hard work. A Holy Unicorn with outstanding potential could easily advance to the Epic tier or even Legendary tier with hard cultivation. Moreover, it was different from the meager white-silver behemoths. The reproduction ability of the Holy Unicorn was not inferior to most races, so they were populous. Therefore, the legend of the Holy Unicorn could be easily heard in the myriad worlds. The Holy Unicorn Lord Zhou Zhou was called Holy Light Lord. The other party led more than 600 Holy Unicorn subjects, all of whom were at the white-silver tier. This was almost equivalent to more than 600 subjects that were only 1 level weaker than the white-silver behemoths. However, their numbers naturally crushed the white-silver behemoths they had encountered previously. However, in front of their bloodline, Zhou Zhou's subjects had awakened his army's dragon-slaying will. The weakest of them had reached the white-silver tier, and the strongest had directly advanced to the white-platinum tier. Moreover, there were more than 2,200 soldiers who had advanced to the white-platinum tier. More than 2,200 white-platinum tier Blazing Sun Army soldiers versus more than 600 white-silver tier Holy Unicorns. Even if the Holy Unicorn's bloodline was much stronger than the human bloodline, in the face of the ineffectiveness of the bloodline pressure and the difference in strength and numbers, these 600-odd Holy Unicorns were still defeated in less than a moment. The Holy Light Lord in the Holy Light City was stunned when it saw this scene. This scene had completely exceeded its understanding of humans. Was this still the human race it knew? In its memory, even though the reproduction ability of the human race was very strong, their bloodline and racial talent were not strong. The human race was an ordinary race among the races in the myriad worlds. It was completely unworthy of the attention of top-notch bloodline races. But how could it explain the scene in front of it? How did this human lord obtain so many white platinum tier subjects in such a short period of time? At the same time, Bai Yun and Wu Xian had already ordered all the subjects of Blazing Sun City to rush towards its Holy Light City. When the Holy Light Lord saw this scene, it finally used the ability to leave the battlefield from the battlefield elite fashion and took the initiative to admit defeat even though it was very unwilling. Then, it brought the Holy Light City and the corpses of all the Holy Unicorn back to the real world. On Zhou Zhou's side, his rank automatically advanced to the epic tier intermediate grade when the other party surrendered. At the same time, he obtained 30,000 battlefield points. At this moment, Zhou Zhou had no intention of exchanging for the territory fusion certificate. There was only one thing on his mind: continue to level up. He wanted to see where he could get with this dragon-slaying hometown. Then, Zhou Zhou continued to rank. The third round, Cerulean Planet's Human Race, Lord of the Blazing Sun versus Bai Zhe Race, Lord of Listening Wind. The Lord of the Blazing Sun won. His rank had been upgraded to Epic Tier Advanced Grade. At the same time, he had obtained another 30,000 battlefield points. The fourth round, Cerulean Planet's Human Race, Lord of the Blazing Sun versus Black Dragon Race, Lord Fairy. The Lord of the Blazing Sun won. His rank had been upgraded to Legendary Tier Elementary Grade. At the same time, he had obtained another 30,000 battlefield points. The fifth round, 3 hours later, Legendary Tier Advanced Grade Lord Battlefield, Netherworld Volcano. After Bai Yun dealt with the last three-headed hellhound with 5 blazing arrows, the battlefield gradually returned to calm. On the city wall of Blazing Sun City, Zhou Zhou looked at the notification in front of him. You have defeated the hellish Cerberus Lord, Black God Lord, Legendary Tier Advanced Grade Lord. You have won this ranking competition. Congratulations, you have obtained 100,000 battlefield points. Congratulations, you have advanced to the Mythical Tier Elementary Grade in the Lord Battlefield. You need to maintain this title until the Lord Battlefield event ends. Only then can you obtain this title permanently. You need to participate in at least one ranking competition every day. Otherwise, your rank will decrease by -1. Your battlefield shop has been updated. You can return to your territory now. Zhou Zhou's eyes lit up. Mythical Tier Elementary Grade. He had finally reached this level after 7 consecutive victories. He looked at the battlefield below. The blood energy unique to the Dragon Slayer on the soldiers of the Blazing Sun Army was slowly dissipating. The blood color in their eyes gradually recovered, and most importantly, their powerful strength gradually returned to normal. Without the pressure of high-level enemies, they returned to their previous appearance. However, Zhou Zhou did not mind. They had one. It wouldn't affect him anyway. Rest for half an hour. Then continue fighting. Zhou Zhou looked at the soldiers and realized that they were in good spirits.
Yes.
The soldiers said excitedly. While they were a little tired physically and mentally after 7 consecutive battles, this indescribable sense of achievement swelled from the bottom of their hearts as they watched as the high-level races that were only recorded in books were defeated one after another. Therefore, when they heard Zhou Zhou's order, not only did they not resist, they even looked forward to it. At the same time, the lords who were paying attention to the Lord of the Blazing Suns ranking on the World Channel were also completely crazy. Mythical Tier Elementary Grade Rank. They never expected the Lord of the Blazing Sun to advance to this level. Wasn't this rank something that only those Mythical Tier legendary lords of races could reach? Can we humans actually also reach it? They thought in disbelief and joy. At this moment, all the lords felt honored. Even the Dragon God Lord and the Insect Lord, who had always thought highly of themselves, were very surprised by the Lord of the Blazing Sun's current rank. They knew very well the value of the Mythical Tier Elementary Grade rank as top lords. It could be said that, at this time, lords who could reach this level could be said to be the top lords of all races in all the worlds, including the High Continent. Even though they felt that their lord's talent was very strong, it would take a long time for them to reach the current level of the Lord of the Blazing Sun. And the Lord of the Blazing Sun, who came from the same race as them, could actually do such a thing at this time. Their first thought was that this matter was very unbelievable. Their second thought was, Could it be that the Lord of the Blazing Sun was not a lord of the cerulean planet's human race? Otherwise, a cerulean planet human lord wouldn't be so strong even if he had a mythical tier lord talent, right? When Lord of the Blazing Sun reached the mythical tier elementary grade, all the lords of the various races who were paying attention to the battlefield ranking quickly noticed this lord from the human race. Human race? They were also stunned when they saw the race of this new mythical tier elementary grade lord. A mythical tier lord could also appear among the humans? At that time, many people of foreign races began to discuss the name Lord of the Blazing Sun. At the entrance of the abyss, in an ancient and damaged building. If Zhou Zhou was standing here, he would definitely recognize that the architectural style of this building was exactly the same as the Night Temple in his territory. This was indeed the Night Temple. However, the Night Temple in Blazing Sun City was only a small and unimportant part of it. This Night Temple that suppressed the entrance to the abyss and prevented the abyss demons from leaving the abyss to invade the myriad worlds was the core of the Night Temple. At this moment, the Silver Meteorite Knight, Rob, was resting in the lounge. Rob, did you just return? A knight in black armor with a deep scar on his face walked over and sat beside Rob. He was the 9th commander of the Holy Temple Guards, Gilbert. They were usually in charge of leading teams to clean up the abyssal demons around the Holy Temple and launch regular counterattacks into the depths of the abyss. Therefore, he was comrades with Rob, who often came here to fight. They were quite close. Yes, I just got back. Rob nodded. Where's the Temple Lord? Gilbert asked curiously. Teacher is fighting Meyersack at the Snake Pit. He should be back in a while. Rob shook his head. Gilbert was not surprised at all. Clearly, this was not the first time their Temple Lord was fighting it. As for the Snake Pit, its full name was the Viper Pit. It was located on the 74th level of the Abyss Emerald Domain, and its owner was the Abyss Lord, the god of Nagas, Meyersack. One was the king of Abyssal Knights, while the other was the Abyss Lord on the 74th level of the Abyss. Both of them were true god-tier existences. It was no joke that they could destroy the world if they fought. However, it was precisely because of this that the two of them would not easily engage in a life and death duel. Typically, it would be an easy competition to test the other party's condition. If they did not have a 100% chance of killing them, they would go back to their respective homes. Rob came back early because he was a little tired from fighting in order not to distract his teacher in the battle. Then, the two of them chatted for a while. Gilbert suddenly thought of something and said, Have you heard? I just heard that a human lord rushed to the mythical tier elementary grade in their lord battlefield activity among lords this year. TSK Tisk. That's amazing. To be able to rush to the mythical tier, even if it's only the elementary grade, means that the human lord is already among the top lords of all races. The Supreme Will has attracted all the races from the myriad worlds. It seems to have really attracted a good junior to our human race. Gilbert sighed. Really? Which race is human lord? Is it the yellow gold tier human race? Or the primordial human race? Or the celestial race? Rob asked in surprise. The three humans he was talking about were the top human races in the endless heavens that he knew. None of them. It's said to be from a race called the Cerulean Planet. I think he's called something like the Lord of the Blazing Sun? Gilbert muttered. He saw Rob looking at him blankly as soon as he finished speaking. What did you say? I said that the other party is the Lord of the Blazing Sun from the Cerulean Planet's human race? What's wrong? You heard about it too? Gilbert said in surprise. No, I didn't. I just didn't expect such a young and promising human lord to actually come from an unknown human branch. Rob smiled. However, he was extremely shocked. It was actually the Lord of the Blazing Sun? He had just met him in the morning. It had only been a few hours, but the other party had actually caused such a huge commotion? Gilbert nodded, not thinking too much about Rob's reaction. After chatting for a while, Rob said goodbye to the other party on the grounds that he wanted to go back to his room. Then, he quickly returned to his room. He took out a communication device exclusive to the Abyss and first confirmed that his teacher was still fighting through the communication status. When he saw that his teacher's communication status was activated, he was delighted. Since the communication state was activated, it often meant that the teacher was in a very safe state. That was why he could divert his attention to deal with other things. If the communication state was turned off, it usually meant that the teacher was focused on fighting or other things and could not be disturbed by other things. Rob immediately called his teacher. Soon, Baihe's voice came from the other end. Rob first concerned himself about Baihe's situation. After confirming that his teacher was not injured, he immediately told him about the Lord of the Blazing Sun ascending to the mythical tier elementary grade. I really underestimated that Lord of the Blazing Sun. I didn't expect him to not only be talented as a potential hero, he's also so good at being a lord. Rob sighed. However, Baihe did not give any response. Just as Rob felt that something was wrong with his teacher's reaction. I understand. Don't worry about this and don't tell anyone. I'll take care of it, Baihe said calmly. Yes, teacher, Rob said respectfully. On the 43rd level of the abyss, a blood-red light was flying quickly towards the abyss wormhole in the night temple. There was a figure in the blood-red light. Who else could it be but the king of abyssal knights, Baihe? I knew this kid would cause trouble. I didn't expect it to be so fast. That taboo will. Is it really that powerful? Baihe muttered. The next second, he passed through the abyssal wormhole and disappeared. In the blazing sun city. At this moment, Zhou Zhou only knew that he had advanced to the mythical tier elementary grade, causing a commotion on the world channel. However, he did not expect that the fact that he had reached the mythical tier as a human lord attracted a certain amount of attention from the lords of the myriad races. Even Baihe, who he felt was a true god-tier big shot, was rushing over for this matter. At this moment, he chose to begin ranking again without hesitation half an hour later after advancing to the mythical tier elementary grade. Matching with your queuing opponent. Match successful. Entering the battlefield. After the world changed, Zhou Zhou looked at the world in front of him. This was a vast and boundless silver arena. Surprisingly, the surroundings of the arena were scarlet. He looked into the distance. A technological mechanical barrier slowly stood there. Floating robots and technological arms that looked very cool were quietly arranged there. When Zhou Zhou saw this, he suddenly had a bad feeling. At this moment, a text notification appeared. You have entered the mythical tier elementary grade battlefield. You and your opponent have been randomly assigned to the mythical tier elementary grade battlefield, Starry Sky Arena. Your opponent is Machina Race Lord, Black Radium Lord. Condition to defeat the enemy. Kill all the enemy forces within 24 hours. If you exceed the time limit, both sides will be judged to have negative battle results. Ranking -1. You have 10 minutes to deploy your forces. Countdown. 9 minutes, 59 seconds. Zhou Zhou. A moment later. In blazing Sun City, Zhou Zhou and the others appeared out of thin air. They looked at each other helplessly. They had lost. An utter defeat. Zhou Zhou's dragon-slaying hometown lord talent was useless facing the Machina race that did not have any bloodline and only had pure mechanical technology. Under such circumstances, both his soldiers and his strength did not increase at all. The result was, after the other party's technological arms washed the ground, they did not even see the other party's shadow before they all died and automatically left the battlefield. Looks like the dragon-slaying hometown is not omnipotent. When encountering a Machina race or other races that have nothing to do with bloodline, the dragon-slaying hometown will become useless. Zhou Zhou thought helplessly. Half an hour later, Zhou Zhou fought another ranking competition. The enemy of this battle was a race called the Death Nether Tree. This time, they triggered the effect of the dragon-slaying hometown again. After a battle, they won the ranking competition again. A soldier suddenly came over to report something to him just as he was about to rank again. Temple Lord Bai is looking for me? Zhou Zhou was stunned. Then, he did not think too much about it. He let the soldiers rest while he walked towards the Night Temple. Night Temple. In a secret meeting room, Zhou Zhou saw that Baihe was already sitting on the main seat, waiting for him quietly when he was brought here. There was no one else in this conference room. He smiled when he saw him. "You're here. Take a seat first." Zhou Zhou was a little confused, but he still nodded and sat down. "Temple Lord, why are you looking for me?" He went straight to the point and asked. "There is indeed one thing. I heard that you've already surpassed most races in the Lord battlefield created by the Supreme Will and reached the mythical tier elementary grade. Impressive. As expected of the number one Lord of the human race on the cerulean planet." He praised. "Temple Lord, you're too kind. I'm just a small lord who has just started. But did the news about me travel so quickly? I just ascended to the mythical tier elementary grade not long ago, but you already know about it?" Zhou Zhou was a little surprised. "You are the lord that even the Supreme Will cares about. It will also be related to the future lord of all races. Why wouldn't we care? Let me put it this way. All the forces of our high continent have begun to pay attention to all of you when you lord of all races first descended on our high continent. Just like the lords of your cerulean planet. In the territories of many lords, our human countries have specially arranged for liaisons to spend mist core to buy some information from you. So we know about it not long after the news about you spread. It's not just coming from you humans on the cerulean planet. We have such an intelligence agency for the other humans and even the people of foreign races. Do you know how much we value you lords this time?" He smiled. Zhou Zhou nodded as usual. However, he could not help but curse in his heart. "I've been wondering why there were so many people hanging there every day on the World Channel. Previously, he thought that those people liked to gossip. He did not expect to be obtaining intelligence. So they were salaried." Zhou Zhou complained in his heart. "Would they be considered a mole? We will also build an intelligence liaison station in your territory if you allow it. You're the number one lord of your cerulean planet. The information you can obtain must be much more valuable than the information of others. We can also provide information exchange services. Don't be in a hurry to refuse. As one of the top forces of the high continent, the information we can provide will definitely far exceed your imagination." He smiled. Zhou Zhou wanted to refuse. There were many secrets in his territory after all. He did not want outsiders to enter his blazing sun city and know the secrets in his territory, especially a top organization like the Night Temple. Even though the other party had previously said that he would not take the initiative to interfere with the development of his territory and could not even enter his territory. However, it was better to be safe than sorry. Once something special happened, and his secret had been grasped by the other party, he would not even be able to resist with the other party's strength. However, he could not help but hesitate when he heard the other party's words. His words made sense. Even though he had information-gathering organizations like the Heavenly Army and the Starfire Mercenary Team, they could only collect some information at the lower middle level because of their strength level. He did not even have the chance to come into contact with information at the level of the Night Temple. If he could really come into contact with information at this level, it would undoubtedly be very beneficial to him and the development of his territory. He thought for a moment and finally replied, "This is not a small matter. I will need a few days to think. Is that all right?" "Sure, there's no hurry." He immediately admired Zhou Zhou even more. It was rare for someone so young to not be rash. "All right, back to the main point. I specially came back this time to tell you about you ascending to the mythical tier elementary grade," Bai said. Zhou Zhou was not surprised. However, what Bai said next stunned him. "You should have relied on the power of the dragon-slaying will to reach this level, right?" Zhou Zhou was silent for a while. He didn't expect him to see through his reliance on ascending to the mythical tier elementary grade. He suddenly remembered that his Dragon Slayer Kings will had been exposed in the Heroic Spirit Hall. The other party should have known that he had the dragon slaying will through this matter. At the thought of this, Zhou Zhou admitted it frankly. This was his lord talent to begin with, a reasonable product created by the Supreme Will. It was not a cheat like a cheat. What was there that he did not dare to admit? After hearing Zhou Zhou admit it, he sighed faintly. "As expected. Then do you know what the Dragon Slayer represents?" "What does it represent?" Zhou Zhou frowned slightly. I don't know much about the Dragon Slayer. The heroic spirits of the Heroic Spirit Hall told me that you have the dragon-slaying will. Bai he said slowly. Zhou Zhou's heart stirred. I don't possess an ordinary dragon-slaying will, but the will of the Dragon Slayer King. It seemed that even those heroic spirits knew very little about the Dragon Slayer and the Dragon Slayer King. The ancient Pale Whale Lord knows the most about the Dragon Slayer. He told me that the Dragon Slayer can be traced back to the time when the dragon race was first born. It has an ancient origin. When it was born, it was famous for its unique ability, especially among races with high bloodlines. Its reputation is even more resounding. That's why. It has also encountered the jealousy of high-level bloodline races. It didn't take long for a war against the Dragon Slayer to begin. Very few life forms remember the exact process of that war. However, the high-level bloodline races of the myriad races suffered heavy losses ever since then. Several peak-level bloodlines were even exterminated. On the other hand, very few life forms have heard the name Dragon Slayer again. A few occasional times. However, I only heard that the Dragon Slayer lineage had completely declined. Not long after, there was no news again. Bai he recounted the history of the Dragon Slayer in a low voice. Zhou Zhou's heart was also very heavy. He thought of the Lord talent name of the Dragon Slayer Lord. At that time, it was still a yellow gold tier Lord talent and was called the last descendant of the Dragon Slayer, which meant the Dragon Slayer Lord might very well be the last lineage of the Dragon Slayer. After he was destroyed, if not for his Lord talent reappearing in his hands and being promoted to the White Platinum tier Lord talent, Dragon Slaying Hometown, the legendary race of Dragon Slayer would probably be completely extinct. Thinking of this, Zhou Zhou felt a little complicated. He did not expect the Dragon Slayer to have such a story. He had already guessed why Bai he was looking for him. That was indeed the case. At this moment, Bai he looked at Zhou Zhou. Lord of the Blazing Sun. Most of the high-level races that plotted to destroy the Dragon Slayer lineage are still alive. I know that the power of the Dragon Slayer is very important to you in this event on the battlefield of the Lords of all races. But if you continue to use this power, these high-level races might not be able to guess it in a short period of time. They might even think that this is some skill or racial talent of yours. But it will be seen through as time passes. When the time comes, the enemies you're facing might not only be the lords of the other races, but also the true experts of those peak bloodline races. Even enemies comparable to me might appear. But he looked at Zhou Zhou. Actually, under normal circumstances, it didn't matter if he didn't say whatever he said, just now as someone who had accidentally appeared here because of Zhou Zhou's Lord talent. He only needed to be in charge of nurturing knights. However, firstly, while Zhou Zhou and him were not from the same branch of human race, they were still from the same human race. As a senior of the human race, he was still willing to give him some care. Secondly, he had a metaphysical premonition. His premonition told him that as long as this Lord of the Blazing Sun in front of him grew up, he would give the human race a huge surprise one day. As a true god tier, he naturally did not feel that his sixth sense was groundless. Someone at his level, any sixth sense, premonition, dream, and other specious things could be an omen of fate. In addition, the reason why the heroic spirits in the Heroic Spirit Hall opened their eyes was not only because of the dragon-slaying will, but also because they really felt that Zhou Zhou was qualified to accept their hero inheritance. Bai he did not tell Zhou Zhou about this. He had already achieved a lot at this age. There was no need to set fire to this. Zhou Zhou naturally did not know what Bai he was thinking. He still thought that the Heroic Spirit Hall had opened its eyes only because of his dragon-slaying will, and not because they valued his aptitude. After a moment of silence, Zhou Zhou said, "Then what should I do next? Don't use the power of the Dragon Slayer anymore? I've already used the power of the Dragon Slayer many times." But he could not help but smile when he heard Zhou Zhou's words. This young man, he was willing to let it go. Not bad. If he was unwilling to give up what he had and still wanted to use the power of the Dragon Slayer to fight for the position of the strongest lord of all races, Bai he would definitely not value him as much as he did now. He admired Zhou Zhou even more now. You still have to use it. It might attract more attention if it seems like you're deliberately hiding something. I previously understood the power and manifestation of the Dragon Slayer. To people who do not know about it, the Dragon Slayer's strength increased explosively when facing high-level bloodline life forms. It's very similar to using a forbidden technique. If that's the case, you can package it as a forbidden technique with harsh conditions. Bai He immediately came up with a solution. Zhou Zhou's eyes lit up. This method was not bad. Thank you, Temple Lord Bai, for advising me. Otherwise, I might not even know when I'm in danger. Zhou Zhou immediately said gratefully. This Temple Lord Bai could be considered to have saved his life. Work hard, little guy. Bai He smiled and stood up before leaving. Zhou Zhou looked at the other party's back view and sighed. He went away after giving him some pointers. This might be the big shot style. If the Night Temple could nurture knights a little shorter, this Lord talent is even more perfect. Zhou Zhou thought. It would take at least half a year to nurture a knight. This might be acceptable to other lords, but to him, who was developing rapidly every day, he felt that it was a little too slow. Then, he left the Night Temple without thinking too much. Zhou Zhou asked the soldiers to rest and told them that there would be no lord battle today after he returned. Instead, they would conquer the other regions in an hour. He decided. In the future, he would only play for maintenance on the Lord battlefield every day to maintain his mythical tier elementary grade. In addition, in terms of the dragon-slaying will, he also planned to follow Temple Lord Bai's instructions and make it into a forbidden technique. This way, even if the lords of other races realized that his forbidden technique was a little too strong, they would not think in the direction of the Dragon Slayer. In the Lord's residence, Zhou Zhou checked his title as the Strongest Lord and his event clothes. The effect of the title of Strongest Lord remained unchanged. However, the Battlefield Elite fashion had become the King of the Battlefield fashion. Fashion name: King of the Battlefield, Event Limited Fashion. Fashion grade: Mythical tier, Enhanceable. Fashion feature 1. Reduces 20% of mythical tier and below damage by the wearer. Fashion feature 2. Leave the battlefield. In the mythical tier Lord battlefield ranking, when one is at a disadvantage, the Lord has the right to choose to admit defeat and automatically withdraw from the Lord battlefield ranking if one has a mythical tier territory rebirth token. Fashion feature 3. Automatically obtain 200,000 battlefield points every day, 2 territory rebirths, 200,000 resurrection spots. Fashion feature 4. Same as before. Fashion feature 5. Comfort plus max. Current fashion outfit completeness, 5 out of 5. Introduction. Same as before? Zhou Zhou's eyes lit up. The Battlefield Elite has become the king of the battlefield. The familiarity is also maxed out. Moreover, this fashion special effect 3 is actually a real benefit. Not bad, not bad. The effect of this fashion outfit should be maxed out next. There shouldn't be any room for improvement. Zhou Zhou thought. He was already at the mythical tier. There was nothing more even if he wanted to increase it. Then, he opened the battlefield shop. 1. Kingdom token, remaining purchases, 1. Price, 200,000 battlefield points. 2. Low-level divine tier hero inheritance secret manual, sanctuary tier purchase count, 1. Price, 100,000 battlefield points. 3. Index of all races, book 8. Remaining purchases, 1. Price, 5,000 battlefield points. 4. Index of all races, book 9. Remaining purchases, 1. Price, 10,000 battlefield points. 5. 1 epic tier master servant territory contract, remaining purchases, 1. Price, 50,000 battlefield points. 6. 1 legendary tier master servant territory contract, remaining purchases, 1. Price, 100,000 battlefield points. 7. 1 gradeless territory fusion certificate, remaining purchases, 3. Price, 10,000 battlefield points. Zhou Zhou immediately became excited when he saw the first exchange option. Kingdom token. The most important item to build the kingdom was actually in the battlefield shop. Moreover, there was a low-tier deity-level hero inheritance secret manual. Oh my god. Was this the upgraded battlefield shop?
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.